Express Rail Link ticket sales begin. 16th-month jail term for a man who drew a knife in a courtroom and threatened the judge. And it's official, Jack Ma will step down as Alibaba chairman a year from today.
Hello and a very good evening. Express Rail Link ticket sales began today. Around 5,500 tickets for high-speed train rides between Hong Kong and mainland cities were sold as of 5 p.m, with seats for the first train all sold out. As Caleb Long reports, about 3,200 of those tickets were sold at West Kowloon Station.
Long queues of people at the West Kowloon Station as tickets for high-speed trains from Hong Kong to the mainland are available starting today. Sales began at 8 this morning at the station, but some showed up 3 hours beforehand. This man arrived at the terminus at 4 a.m. He purchased tickets for the first train to the mainland, with Shenzhen North being the destination.
I just want to get on the first train, that's it. It took us, like an hour to get to the counter and get the ticket. So it's a little long, but it's acceptable.
Not everybody was happy with the ticketing arrangement. It took our reporters around an hour at the counter to buy tickets for the first train. As for this man who wished to change his destination, he needed to return his original tickets at the counter where he made the purchase before buying new ones. The whole process took around 10 minutes. While people are waiting in a long queue to purchase tickets through the counters, the line here for the ticket machines is much shorter. After waiting in line for an hour, this man decided to use a ticket machine instead of buying the tickets at the counter. The whole process took him only around 10 minutes. The MTR Corporation admitted there are still glitches with the system.
We do identify some teething problem and that we are going to follow up and resolve. And one of them is the interface system between the Hong Kong ticketing system and the mainland ticketing system.
Today, passengers were able to buy tickets for the 10-day period from September 23rd to October 2nd. Over on the mainland, there are around 300 outlets in Guangzhou which sell high-speed train tickets to Hong Kong. As for Beijing, there are around 600 ticket outlets. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
A construction worker today received a 16-month jail term for threatening a judge with a kitchen knife at the High Court last year. Sharon Tang has more details.
Yu Zulin was so angry last October that he took a kitchen knife out of his bag inside a courtroom and threatened the judge, but he did surrender to the police in the end. It all began with a civil claim that Yu filed against 3 police officers who allegedly hurt him during his arrest. In 2013, the then District Court Judge Wilson Chan rejected his claim. Yu later appealed, but again, his civil claim was unsuccessful in a retrial. On October 17th last year, the 53-year-old went to the High Court looking for Wilson Chan, who was one of the judges there. Yu walked towards the judge's bench and drew a knife wrapped in plastic, shouting, "I will chop you." He also raised the knife above his head, which startled the judge and courtroom staff. Handing down his sentence today, Deputy District Judge Dawn So said it was foolish of Yu to force the judiciary to fight for what he wanted. The judge also noted that Yu had recklessly flapped on the bench with his knife, leaving a 2-inch-long mark on it. Though the court heard that Yu has to take care of his 2 kids and 90-year-old father, his behavior was considered as contempt of court and destruction of public property. Given the defendant had pleaded guilty to certain charges, the court reduced his prison term from 18 to 16 months for his criminal damage conviction. Meanwhile, Yu was found not guilty of another count of criminal damage and a charge of possession of offensive weapon. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
A KMB driver who continued his shift despite feeling unwell and ended up in a crash killing a pedestrian was today sentenced to 20 months in jail. His driving license has also been suspended for 5 years. The 42-year-old bus captain Leung Wai Kong was taken to the district court for sentencing this morning. He was found guilty earlier of dangerous driving causing death. He also has at least 6 previous criminal convictions, including one for drug trafficking. On September 29, 2016, Leung was behind the wheel of a KMB double-decker that crashed onto the sidewalk on Nathan Road near Haifeng Road in Tsim Sha Tsui. The bus knocked down a 26-year-old woman. This happened shortly after he twice vomited but continued driving, something the judge said was serious and irresponsible.
Be prepared for unsettled weather as the observatory will consider issuing the standby signal number 1 tomorrow. Although it was mainly cloudy with a few rain patches today, things may change tomorrow. The low pressure area over the Luzon Strait has strengthened into a tropical depression and may affect the northern part of the South China Sea tomorrow.
Jack Ma, the charismatic co-founder of Alibaba, the world's biggest e-commerce group, will step down as chairman in exactly 1 year. He's indicated he wants to concentrate on philanthropy and education and will hand the reins over to the current CEO, Daniel Zhang. Alan Buckner reports.
Jack Ma, who turned 54 today, said he's long been planning to step back, insisting Alibaba management should be relatively young. Alibaba's new chairman will be Ma's trusted lieutenant, 46-year-old Daniel Zhang, who's been CEO since 2015. Zhang is known as a key architect of Singles Day, an annual November 11th sale that's become the world's largest online shopping event. Ma, a former English teacher, co-founded Alibaba in 1999 in an apartment in the eastern city of Hangzhou, connecting Chinese exporters with foreign retailers. It expanded into consumer retailing, online finance, cloud computing, and other services to become the world's biggest e-commerce company by total value of goods sold across its platforms. The company reported a net profit last year of $9.8 billion. Ma himself became one of the world's richest men. The Hurun report, which follows China's wealthy, estimates his net worth at $37 billion. In 2015, Alibaba launched a series of initiatives to keep counterfeit goods off its platform, such as Taobao, after complaints from luxury brands and sporting goods makers.
We were misunderstood by the world, that we are not transparent. We don't want misunderstood by the world that Taobao is a platform of selling fake products.
Ma will give up the chairman role on September 10, 2019, and complete his current term on the board of directors following the company's annual general meeting in 2020. After he steps down, Ma will continue to mentor management as part of the Alibaba Partnership, a 36-member group of core company managers. Ma says he wants to return to education, but gave no details. Alan Buckner, TVB News.
Sweden faces weeks of political uncertainty after its mainstream centre-left and centre-right failed to secure a governing majority in Sunday's elections. Meanwhile, the far right made gains after a heated campaign put immigration front and centre. Although the nationalist Sweden Democrats do not have enough votes to take power, it may influence who does. Peter Kovacs explains.
It looks like Sweden is set for a hung parliament. The ruling centre-left Social Democrats and Greens and their left party parliamentary ally won about 40% of the vote. The opposition's centre-right alliance, almost the same amount. Neither has enough to rule. In third spot is the anti-immigrant Sweden Democrats, and they could shift power. Jimmy Åkesson's party ran an anti-immigration campaign. Sweden has a population of about 10 million people. They allowed about 160,000 immigrants into the country in 2015 alone, the most per capita of any European nation, something the far right seized on. In the last election, the Sweden Democrats garnered 13% of the vote. This time, they grabbed 17%. And with no outright winner, Åkesson proclaimed the results show his party was the winner in the election. His party is also open to cooperating with the moderate party on forming a coalition.
I really hope and I really expect that we will open up a dialogue, especially with the moderate party, and because Sweden really needs political change. We need to have a more responsible migration policy. We need to start focusing on our own citizens, the sick and the elderly and the poor.
With no party holding enough votes to rule, a coalition is likely. Both major blocs in parliament said they would not include the anti-immigration party in those talks. And Ulf Kristersson, the centre-right leader, has his own cooperation plan. He said he had secured a different alliance where some of the smaller centre parties aligned to form a new group. He also asked Social Democrat Prime Minister Stefan Löfven to resign. Löfven is not ready to give up power, though. He said simply saying the outcome of the election is unclear. Löfven was clear on his opinion of the Sweden Democrats, saying a party with roots in Nazism would only offer hatred. Final election results are expected later in the week, but with the votes so close and no party expected to get a majority, it could take weeks or months of coalition talks to form the next government. Peter Corveos, TVB News.
7 people have been injured after a knife attack in Paris. Police detained a man near a cinema in the central part of the French capital. Initial reports said he was wielding a knife and a metal bar and first attacked 3 people. It's unclear if the assailant was among the injured. A newspaper report says the suspect is an Afghan national. Officials don't believe terrorism was a motive for the attack.
And still ahead on tonight's news, a proposal to revitalise Hong Kong's film industry.
Welcome back to TVB News. A think tank believes it's time to revitalise Hong Kong's film industry. Pinky Wong explains.
How often do you watch local films in the theatre? Just last year, they contributed to less than 15% of revenues at the box office. So what's the solution?
Greater Bay Area can potentially be a good stepping stone for both as a distribution hub as well as the production hub that eventually can uplift our market and distribution to across internationally.
This comes as our Hong Kong Foundation found a 2-fold increase in mainland box office revenue. It almost reached $8 billion from 2012 to 2017. The think tank urges the government to double 3 funding schemes, up to $12 million under the Film Development Fund. It's part of efforts to establish Hong Kong as an international movie hub.
In Hong Kong, we have a lot of movie talents. We have the international insight. We know how to connect the international movie with the local mainland market.
Yet, complicated application procedures for funding and the lack of cohesiveness of the schemes make it difficult for young filmmakers to have sustainable support. They also suggest regulations for mainland Hong Kong co-productions like actors' ratio can be relaxed to facilitate cooperation. Researchers don't want local talents to just explore opportunities abroad. They also think there are long-term benefits if the government can attract overseas film companies to film here in Hong Kong. One of the ways is to follow South Korea and set up an incentive scheme for location filming. Pinky Wong, TVB News.
Even if you're not familiar with Sham Shui Po, there are now ways to explore the neighbourhood on your own. Okay. The Hong Kong Tourism Board today released electronic guides for people to download. Complemented with insider insights, the comprehensive guide featuring 5 routes around Sham Shui Po highlights the district's food and heritage. This includes the Sham Shui Po Police Station, a Grade 2 historic building built in the 1920s. Plus, a fashion and design base is expected to be built in the district within 5 years.
Swimmers may find more than just joy at a public pool, but also traces of urine. A survey revealed the majority of respondents are dissatisfied with water quality at Kowloon Park swimming pool. The Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong surveyed 264 swimmers in the last few weeks. More than 60% are unhappy with poor hygiene, noting rubbish and urine odour. Over 80% of respondents are upset with insufficient lifeguards and frequent suspension of service at certain pools. The political party urged the government to upgrade the water filter system at Kowloon Park swimming pool and check if water pumps there are working properly. And that's the news.
Thanks for watching.